Okay, we are live. Hold on, let me change. Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I'm so excited for this one. If you hear Willow, she has the zoomies right now, which is just lovely. So if you see her zooming in and out, that's my cat. So just letting you know. Okay, in this video, we are going to do the part 2 of how to imagine. I know that it's been a while. Hi guys, I'm back. I've been posting short videos, but I wanted to do another live because when I'm doing the regular videos, I have to edit a lot, and it's actually it's much easier for me to go live. So hi to you guys, and if you're not watching it now, then you just watch the replay and get all the information that you need. So I hope that this is helpful. Okay, in this video, we are going to do the application of how to imagine. And I want to be very specific and provide clarity, because it's not that you're not using your imagination. We're all master manifestors, so what you're doing right now, you have already created. And you do create your own reality based off of the thoughts that you have. Anything that you are consistently holding in your mind is materializing. So in this video, we're going to talk about some techniques that Neville Goddard gives and some practical advice that I've used and I've seen tremendous results. I want to help if you're trying to imagine something that might not seem obtainable, because it is obtainable. You just have to use your imagination. Okay. So in the last video that I did previously, I talked about the different types of imagination, which you would think it's just one thing, but there's different types of imagining. There's synthetic and then creative. And the synthetic is basically taking what you have in the objective world and using that to your benefit. For example, you know what an orange looks like. You can use that in your imagination to see the orange in your mind's eye. When you close your eyes, you can see an orange. If I were to say, envision an orange, you can see that in your mind, right? With creative imagination, this is either taking that same idea, that physical object, something that's been projected out into the reality. It's about taking that and expanding on it and creating something entirely new. We're all receiving ideas, by the way. So a lot of times people, when they're flipping thoughts or when they're in a state of being that is either a lower vibrational state, so let's say if they're worried or they're anxious, those states are perfectly fine, by the way. Every state is perfect, but when you get into a creative imagination zone, then you're able to receive ideas that other people receive too, but it's usually at a higher frequency. This is why when you receive ideas in the shower, when you're washing dishes, when you're driving and you receive a thought and it's very fleeting, those ideas are usually the ones to best act on. And I think Bashar said this, I don't want to butcher it, but I think he says, the greatest power requires the gentlest touch. And what he means by that is it's not going to take long to do this work, by the way. The higher vibrations, and when you are in a frequency of excitement, your life, things will start to happen very quickly. So it's just getting the momentum started, and starting where you're at. Where you're at is perfectly fine. It's just about starting somewhere and gaining momentum. Okay, now the next thing that I want to say before I go into some examples on how to use your imagination is that it's okay to just let yourself imagine for the sake of imagining. If you feel very tense about a certain manifestation, if it's taken a while for you to achieve that certain goal or that thing that you're trying to manifest, that's okay. It's not about getting the thing, and I know that that's a paradox, right? But usually you get the thing when you don't want it anymore. And when you're using your imagination, you can imagine it to be so real and so natural in your mind that by law, it will outpicture into the physical reality. Usually when I've imagined something over and over and over again, and I've put the tones of reality to it, then it manifests, right? Thank you. Yes, Jesus does love everyone. So when you are imagining something and you're thinking lovely thoughts, you're thinking of good things, and you're saying those things in your mind, then all of those things will come to pass. They will come to pass, okay? So let's get into it. If you are using your imagination, this is what you want to do, okay? Before bed or right when you wake up, those are the best times to do it. You are going to be in the theta state, which is when you are most impressionable, and that's usually like what state you're in when you're growing up from ages 0 to 7, right? And there's more scientific evidence, but we don't need to go there. We're just going to talk. So before you go to bed or right when you wake up, you're going to lie down in your bed and you're going to think about what excites you, okay? And you're going to think about those things. So let's use an example. Neville Goddard, he uses this technique and he used it in his lecture. It's the ladder technique, the ladder technique. And the ladder technique is when you go to bed, you're going to imagine yourself, you're going to close your eyes, and you're going to calm yourself and really focus in on your breath. And when you do this a couple of times, a couple of deep breaths, and breathe in, and breathe out. Now you want to take the time to picture a ladder. What does the ladder look like? Is it wooden? Is it made of steel? What does the ladder look like? Is it on the street? Where is the ladder located? Is it in your car? Where do you see the ladder? Now that you see the ladder, you're going to touch the ladder. How does the ladder feel? Is it cold? Does it have a rough texture? What does it feel like? Does it have a smell? Is it a brand new ladder? Does it have a clean scent to it, or is it rusty, kind of worn down? And now I want you to climb the ladder. One hand after the other. And you're going to reach the top or midway. Where are you on the ladder? So I've reached the top of the ladder, and now I'm going to climb back down. And I'm taking my time going down this ladder. Okay, I climbed the ladder. I don't know if you guys did, but this technique is very, very powerful, and it is as quick or as long as you need it to be to get you there. When you are training yourself to imagine something, it can take however long it needs to take for you. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the comment, but I saw that it was something about affirming and possibly taking you out of the mood. Um, One thing that I love about Neville Goddard is that I already feel more grounded, but one thing that I love about Neville Goddard is that he's teaching you to imagine things that are lovely and that are good. And when you are enjoying imagining life, you're imagining success for other people, you're imagining, abundance, you're imagining these things that are inherently yours, right? Um, it shouldn't feel like a struggle. And I think I'm going to make another video titled "It Doesn't Need to Be a Struggle," because it doesn't. I mean, persisting and affirming, that's a great technique, and I think that it's encompassing the entire thing that Neville is talking about. He's saying persist in the assumption. But the assumption has a certain attitude and it has a certain mood that is attached to it. So if you are affirming something and you're not seeing results and you're constantly looking into the 3D, then maybe something like this where you're visualizing yourself and you're putting all the tones to reality, maybe that will help relax you because you are literally putting yourself in the state of doing that thing. For example, we just imagined climbing the ladder. I don't know about you, but I literally in my mind just climbed the ladder. I climbed the ladder. My ladder was steel. Whenever I touched the ladder, it was very cold to touch. And then once I got to the top, it was like on a sidewalk. Once I got to the top, I saw a billboard, and then I went back down, and that was it. And just to clarify, because this has happened to me once before, when I was manifesting my car, I have the Porsche Macan. I had on my vision board that I wanted the Porsche Cayenne, right? And not realizing that the Macan would be a better fit for me. So I was test driving Porsche Macans. I was feeling the steering wheel. I was imagining in my mind and also doing it, you can do that at the dealership, but mostly it was in my mind. And when it got to the point of me actually taking action on that, which by the way, I was naturally led to that action, nothing was going to stop that imaginal act. I went to the dealership and I drove the car that I wanted, the exact car. Black exterior, red interior that was on my vision board, and when I drove it, I didn't like it. For some reason, it wasn't resonating with me. And then once I got out of that car, I saw the car that I have now. It was out in the parking lot, and I said, can I try that? Something about it stuck out to me. And when I drove it, it was perfect. It had the exact song that I would play on my road trip. I mean, crazy synchronicities were happening when I was driving that car, and I knew that it was mine. It just happened in a way that I didn't feel anxious about it. I could have taken it or leaved it. And actually, when I was at the dealership, they gave me an interest rate because I have really good credit. So they gave me an interest rate that was not the interest rate that I was accepting. I was like, no, you can go way lower than that. So I said no. Yeah, hello. So I said no, and I walked away from the car. I said, I don't want the car, that's fine. Come back with a lower interest rate or I'm not getting the car. And sure enough, somebody called me and they said, oh, absolutely not. Like, we're gonna take care of this and we're gonna drop it. I think it was like 4%. They dropped it by 4% of the interest rate. So I'm telling you this because even if your imagination is specific and it's getting you to that place of feeling very good and feeling very satisfied, keyword being satisfied. You want to feel satisfied when you do these imaginal acts. It needs to feel like, okay, yeah, I felt it. I experienced it in my mind and it felt so good to me. When you get to that point, it's already done. It is literally, it is done. It is already done. It will materialize and you can't really stop it. And you know what is so interesting about the ladder technique that Neville Goddard was describing is that when he was instructing people to climb the ladder, he said, okay, do this before bed. I want you to climb the ladder and put all the tones of reality. And if you'll notice, I did every single tone of reality, all of the senses except for taste, when we did that imaginal act of climbing the ladder. So I did touch, we did sight, we did all of those other things, right? Also smell. So if it smelled clean, if it smelled rusty, we did every single scent except for tasting, right? When you do that and you make it feel real for yourself and you convince yourself that you are climbing the ladder, the next day, Neville Goddard said, tell yourself that you're not going to climb the ladder. Tell yourself that you're not going to climb the ladder after doing that imaginal act, and you will still climb the ladder. That, okay, I don't know about you, but that is really big to me. That means a lot, because if I'm doing something so powerful in my imagination to where I feel it real and I feel that it's natural, and the next day I can try to negate that imaginal act and it'll still come to pass, what does that tell you? That tells you that your imagination is no man, no thing, no person, place, or thing, no noun can stop you from getting your desire. It does not matter how many times you're saying something if you're not convincing yourself and stepping into the attitude or the mood that that thought embodies. So, for example, I posted a short video, right? Hi, Angie. I posted a short video and I was talking about how I was watching a YouTuber and she has millions of followers, right? I thought about her, I was watching her video, and in the middle of watching that video, it was almost like I received a thought. And the thought was, I would absolutely love to meet her. She seems so fantastic. I love her videos. I would love to meet her one day. Wouldn't that be so wonderful? And for less than a minute, I kid you not, I imagined myself meeting her, just having a friendly conversation. And it wasn't specific, I didn't clarify the words or the conversation that we had. But tell me why, a couple of days later, I dropped it, less than a minute. A couple of days later, probably a week, and I don't even know how long it's been. I know that it was a short amount of time because I wasn't worried about it. Less than a week later, she came up to me at my other place of work, and I was baffled because at first I didn't think it was her. I was like, no, there's no way that it was her. But then she started speaking to me, right? She was asking me questions, all this stuff, and I'm like, that's her voice too. I mean, that's the girl. I don't know what else to say. This is definitely her voice. This is the one. Now, think about this. I really invite you to think about this. I did it in a very small amount of time. I was feeling good when it happened. It was a very wonderful thought. It was very exciting. And I was not expecting that to happen. It just happened very effortlessly. And there was no part of me that was, even if I were to say, I'm never going to meet her, oh, that's not going to happen, she came to me. I didn't have to seek her out at all. I mean, it was fantastic. And it's making me realize more and more that if we are allowing ourselves to just go with the flow, then these circumstances will happen automatically. So I invite you to imagine for the sake of imagining. If something is on your heart and you really would like to experience that in the physical, give yourself that imaginal act and put the senses. Use all five if you want to. I know for the ladder technique, we didn't use taste, but let's say it's a rose. And yeah, exactly. It wasn't a big deal to me. But why wasn't it a big deal to me? I'm gonna touch on that after sorry, if you're new, if you're just now watching, Willow has the zoomies right now, so if you hear noise in the background, she's just going crazy. I'm gonna get to that point in after a bit. But when you are, sorry, I think I lost my train of thought. Yeah, when you are imagining for the sake of imagining, things will automatically, they will just start flowing. So, for example, if you are deciding, hey, I'm going to have a great day and I'm going to be excited about my life and I'm going to choose through the law of liberty, which says that you have the choice to think the thoughts that you want. I'm going to have a great day. Things are going to be working out amazingly for me. Then, by law, the world has to reflect great things to you. And I invite you to think about something else too, because something about this really turned the light bulb on for me. I was sitting one day thinking about how specific circumstances come to us, right? And I'm sure you, whoever is watching this as a viewer, I'm sure you're not sitting here asking for specifically negative things to happen to you, right? You're not using your imagination to think of terrible circumstances to happen to you. They just happen, and then we go, oh yes, like my day is ruined. Or we start off our day and we say, today is just not a great day for me. And then through that thought process, we are given specific circumstances that attract other thought forms and other events to confirm that, right? So I wanted to clarify in this video, when you're using your imagination, you don't need to be as specific as you think. You can be specific, you can be general. If it doesn't feel good to be specific, just go general. If you wake up in the morning and you don't want to think about that specific person that you're manifesting, don't. Don't think about the specific thing that you are wanting. Just think about having a great day and think about all of the blessings that you have in your life. It may seem a bit simple, but the entire point of manifesting is to have gratitude. That's the fastest route. It is the fastest route. It's always been the fastest route. It's backed by scripture. I'm not sure if it's just too simple of a statement where people don't accept it, but gratitude is the fastest way to get to anything that you want. And you can see that by understanding how the polarity works. You're not specifically asking for negative things to happen to you, but if you have a mindset that is saying that nothing's working out for me and that you can't manifest what you want, then there's specific events that happen. So it works the other way around. If you're wanting to gain momentum, if you're in an emotional state of being that, it's perfectly fine, by the way, I'm going to say that again, it's perfect where you are. If you're in a state of fear, if you're in a state of lack, whatever, that's fine. Yeah, just be grateful about everything, yeah. And I'll explain that. If you are just having one of those days, that's totally fine. Acceptance and satisfaction, that's better. That is much better than having those despair, unworthy thoughts. Now, going back to the comment about just being grateful about everything, right? Okay. This is such a great comment, which, by the way, thank you for commenting that, because sometimes feeling discouraged about a negative circumstance will allow you to will kind of reverse the momentum that you've created, right? So you have a specific thought that you want to manifest, and you're really, really passionate about it. You want to see it manifest. So you're using your imagination and you're doing these acts in your mind and you're feeling really good. And then something happens to you and you're like, that should not have happened. That should not have happened because this is what I'm manifesting and that does not make sense. But here's the beautiful thing. If you are, just like the ladder technique, if you say, no, I'm not going to climb the ladder, you're still going to climb the ladder because you imagine that thing and it has no choice but to come into existence. And the higher vibrational thought will always, hear me, the higher vibrational thought will always dominate the lower vibrational thought. Even if you're having a bunch of negative thoughts, that idea, that imaginal act that brought you excitement will always win, because that's just how the universe works. There's more in our favor. There's always more that is working out for us than there is that isn't working out for us. So, perfect example. When I was manifesting my car, I gave my old car to my brother, and he got into a car accident. That is a very serious thing for me. That's my brother, right? That's my little brother too. But through those series of circumstances, I went to the dealership with my parents, and not only did they buy my brother a new car, thankfully he's safe. Not only did they buy my brother a new car, but they gave me the confidence to get the car that I wanted. And through those series of circumstances, and thank God he's okay and everything worked out, because everything is always working out for us. He was okay. He got a new car that was paid for, and I got the car that I chose. I would not have been able to go out and get that car by myself. The universe knows that. The universe is supporting you. So even if something seems like it's not going your way, it is going your way. I promise you. As long as you are doing those imaginal acts and you are feeling it to be natural, real, nothing will stop it. Nothing will stop it. And I'll end it here on this note, because I know that this video is getting kind of long. I've dedicated an entire video on when Neville Goddard speaks about the movie scene, and I want to talk about it one more time, because there's always a good way or a better way to explain it. But let's say something, okay, so the movie scene is this. You go into the movie theater and you're a little bit early, so you catch the last scene of that movie that you were wanting to see. So you already saw how it ends. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah. But I still want to watch the movie, right? You still want to go through the journey. You still want to go through the process of watching the movie. That's what you paid for. So you're going to sit in the movie theater, and then you're going to wait until they redo the movie, and you're going to watch the entire thing. Does that mean that you can't cry when the rest of the audience is crying? Does that mean that you can't, feel the emotions that the characters and that the actors are embodying? No, you can totally just immerse yourself in that experience, knowing that at the end, it's going to be great. And this is what the imaginal acts are for. If you're going to bed at night, that's when I like to do it best, and you have a scene in your mind, and it's just incredible. You're imagining, whatever your profession is, whatever really excites you, you're imagining being given praise, or you're accepting thanks, and you're feeling really good about life. And then the next day you wake up and something unfavorable happens. It's okay to feel what you are feeling. Your emotions are fleeting anyways, right? Your emotions are fleeting. I'm just letting you know that the imagination, that is going to support you, and it's going to bring you to that desire, okay? It's always going to bring you to that desire. And the beautiful thing about this is the more you train yourself, right? The more that you practice this, because this is an art, right? The more that you practice this art of preferring what you do want and not focusing on what you don't, then those unfavorable circumstances will seem friendly. Anything that happens in your life, it will seem like, okay, that needed to happen so that I could get this. That's fine. And even doing this video, I'm sure you can feel the energy of neutrality, right? Oh, okay, something that was very unpleasant. I did not want that in my experience. But it happened, and I know that it's going to lead me to this. I know that this experience is going to lead me to that, because this is what I've been focusing on dominantly. So anything that happens in your reality now is a part of the movie, and it's going to lead to that end result. It works every time. It never fails. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye. Take care.